Okay, so my last video cut off a little bit. I didn't realize I was getting to the end of the 10-minute time limit, so hopefully you figured it out. Just go on to the next video. And like I was saying, I have most of this shading in here. I might need to refine things, but really to be able to tell, I'm going to get this background in. So, and this is, it's weird. Some people think it's the tedious part, some people think it's the fun part, because you really start to see your drawing look finished, but it is just like a lot of hard scrubbing on the paper. So I'm just working my way around that edge, going super dark. And this is where you can make your own artistic decisions a little bit. You know, this drawing we're working off of is very sketchy in the background. You know, you can see the change in direction, it does fade out, and it's up to you if you want to have this kind of look, if you want it to look sketchy and if you want it to look sort of unfinished in the background, or if you want to keep it clean and dark, if you want to do a smooth fade. Those things are up to you, because that's more of just a what's your personal taste and preference for how things look. As long as your values are in there and we have this flower popping out, that's the important part. So I'm going to start keeping it really dark and clean by the edges, and I'm just going to kind of go and decide as I work. You know, if things are looking nice with it clean, I'll keep it clean. If I get some texture and I like it, then I'll leave the texture. So be really just careful, make the line thin as you work around the edge. Okay, but you do need to have it really dark so that it doesn't get confused with the shading within the flower. So, you know, your hand might cramp up a couple times while you're doing this. Okay, and just work your way around. And like I said before, my sketch goes down a lot further than what the camera catches, so you might see me coloring off the page a little bit. I'll try not to do that too much. Alright. So hopefully you can see your flower start to take form, and hopefully some of these nice striations that we added in, the more dark we add in here, these will start to pop more because we won't have all the light to pull your eye away from it. So that's something nice as you add this kind of easy stuff in the background, other than, you know, your hand cramping. It's not technically challenging to do. Your drawing just starts to magically look better and better. So I'm going to go kind of fast. And again, like I said, if you're going to go with straight, like black, as dark as you can get, the direction's not going to matter a ton, because you won't see the streaks because it's just all dark. Okay, my pencil's getting dull, so I'm going to pause it and sharpen it. Okay, keep in mind when you sharpen your pencil, if you were working with a flat edge, that edge is going to be gone, so you might need to go onto a separate sheet, color a little bit if you wanted that flat, soft edge. But when you're pressing hard, it doesn't matter quite that much. It is important if you were doing something. Oh, see, I just got a little carried away. Make sure you don't do that. But if that does happen, just, you know, slowly work in, and we're just going to cut that petal down. That's the nice thing about this being a flower and not like someone's face. If I change the shape of their eye, it would make a big difference. But as far as a flower, I can cut this petal down a little bit, and it's not going to make a difference. Okay, now for the sake of your hand cramping and time, I'm assuming a lot of you are probably going to want to choose to have this fade out, which is what I'm going to do, because already I'm like, oh my goodness, my hand's cramping. But if you do that, you know, do it with some awareness. Do you want it to fade slowly? Do you want it to fade fast? Do you want it to be an even fade where everything reaches this point before it fades, or do you want it to fade along with the shape of the flower? You can try things out and adjust them. You know, worst case scenario, it fades out too fast and you can go back through and layer in to darken it, but don't just accept what you get on your first try. You know, if it looks good, great, but if it doesn't, then ask yourself what looks weird. Is it the texture? Is it how fast you faded? Is it the direction? So I'm just going to start to fade pretty generally. I'm going to stick with one direction right now, and if it looks too stripy, I might go the other way, just to kind of cancel out the directional look of it. I don't want too much to distract from the flower, so pause and share. Okay, yeah, once I've looked at this, I really don't like the way you can see so much of this direction, so I am going to start going the other way. And that will also make it a little bit darker. You do want to fill a lot of the page. You don't have to fill up every square inch, but you know, you spend enough time on this flower that you do want it to look like the drawing is finished. And if you only shade around it just a touch, it's going to look like you forgot something or like you just gave up. So do take the time to just fill all this in. Okay. As you move out, you can start pressing lighter, so maybe hopefully that'll be a little easier on your hand. And this is where, once you're more familiar with art materials too, you can start to get creative. Maybe you can make this a mixed media drawing and you could get charcoal for the background. Be really careful you don't smudge it into your flower, but that would give you a really heavy dark background that might be a nice effect. Or maybe you can make it a colored background. All those decisions, those are things you should always wonder about, think about. You could get tracing paper and test it out first to get a little preview. Okay. The good thing is once you move far away from your flower, you can start to be a little looser with your coloring because you're not worried about jabbing into it. Just always be somewhat careful, but you can get a little more loose as you distance yourself from this flower. But for me, going in multiple directions is helping me to go faster. Plus, I just like the look better, I think. I don't think I want it as scribbly as this one is, but okay, so I have most of my page filled up with my shading, and please don't just quit on this because the time is up or because you have everything filled in. Always, always go back through. There's a glare on the screen. This is actually darker than it. See, now you can see the darks better. Always go through and just take a few minutes when you're done with the drawing to really look at it, you know, compare it to your reference photo, and see if there's any other adjustments that need to be made. Take that 2 minutes to just work your way through it, adjust the texture, adjust the values, extend the background, whatever you need to do. Make it worth the 40 minutes you just spent on it. Don't just quit because you are sick of it. It's so worth it. And you can always go back through, watch other parts of the videos to make refinements. You know, I used to start over all the time. I always think if you're more than halfway through, you shouldn't start over. Just make adjustments, correct your mistakes. But once you think you have it, then hopefully you are happy with the product. If you're not, at least try and identify what is wrong with it. Is it the shape? Is it the shading? Is it the texture? So that way you can improve on it for future drawings and future sketch assignments. When you are finished with this, you are going to be taking a picture of it with your Chromebook and turning it into the sketch assignment that I'll have on Schoology. If it's not up this particular day, just we'll do it another day, but you might as well photograph it with your Chromebook today. And hopefully you are pleased with what you did. So make refinements, go back through, and hopefully you are happy with this.